Deadwood. G'day to all you lovely people. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about Deadwood, the TV series. I recently rewatched Deadwood. I originally saw it when it first aired in 2004. It is a HBO Western drama, and in my opinion, one of the best dramas I have ever seen. There are 3 seasons in total with 12 episodes in each season. They never properly finished the show, so a follow-up film was released only a couple of years ago. I think it was in 2018, just wrapping up the entire story. And that was 12 years after the last season, which is why I ended up rewatching the series. Whenever there's a sequel or addendum added to a show or series, I always like to rewatch from the beginning. And I found it just as good, if not better, the second time around. First off, I need to say that this show will not be for everyone. There is a lot of swearing and there is a lot of sex and violence. I have to admit, even I found the swearing a little jarring at the beginning. Not that I object to swearing, because I do swear, perhaps not on my channel, but I definitely do swear. And yet I still found it quite jarring because it seemed every second sentence had a swear word in it. However, after a few episodes, you don't even notice. Well, that's what I found anyway. I will talk about the film a little bit later on. First, I wanted to talk about the TV series, the 3 seasons. In essence, this show is a Western drama. When I say a Western, it is not like those old John Wayne films that you might have seen. This is about a small camp, a mining camp, if you want to call it that, where people have come to seek their fortunes. There are elements that we are familiar with from Westerns, but that is the only resemblance really to, say, films with John Wayne or Gary Cooper or anything like that. They are much more sanitized than this show is. This one is not sanitized at all. It is warts and all. That's what I think anyway. The story takes place in the 1870s, before Deadwood, which is an actual town, became part of the Dakota Territories. It is a frontier town. A town, it's not even a town really, it is a camp that is slowly evolving into a town. David Milch wrote most of the episodes, and he was the creator behind this series. He also did a lot of research into all these well-known historical figures who he based some of his characters on. You will run across characters like Wyatt Earp or Wild Bill Hickok or Calamity Jane, just to name a few. Obviously, I don't know all of them, but they are a few names that I did recognize from all the Westerns I might have seen during my time, because I have seen a lot of Westerns when I was growing up. I thought the show was beautifully filmed. I loved the sets, I loved the costumes, but my favorite part is the writing and the acting. And I think Milch's writing is sublime. I cannot find enough superlatives to accurately describe just how good the writing is. It is poetical at times, lyrical almost, Shakespearean. It is so beautifully written. And sometimes I even have to rewind and re-watch a scene because I know I missed something in the writing, because it is just so good. It really sets it apart from anything else I've seen, particularly in a drama series. It is, as I said, almost Shakespearean in style. Now you might argue, well, there's a lot of swearing in this show, so how can the writing be so good? The truth is, The swearing seems natural. It seems a part of the characters portrayed in this series. Most of them are uneducated who use language such as swearing to convey their feelings. I didn't find it out of place in this show. In fact, I think if there wasn't any swearing, it would feel unnatural. It just wouldn't sound real. And that's what this sounded, real people talking. And most people do swear. I cannot say enough good things about the writing. I don't think I've seen any show that matches the quality of writing, not just in the dialogue, but also in the character development, in the plot development. Sometimes the plots are so convoluted that it took me a bit of time to work out what the hell was going on, and that is just because the writing is so good. It doesn't explain everything to us, and I don't know about you, but I really dislike any writing, whether it's in a book, a film, or a TV show, that explains everything to me. I want to be able to try to work out what the hell is going on. And Milch does not insult his audience. He takes us as intelligent people, and he allows us to make up our own minds, not just about what is going on, but also about the characters. And if that wasn't enough, the acting matches. How often do we find that one does not match the other? The writing lets down the actors, or vice versa. Definitely not in this series. The acting is magnificent. Now I'm going to get into some of the characters. There are two main characters in this. One is Al Swearengen, played by Ian McShane, and Seth Bullock, played by Timothy Oliphant. Let's start with Ian McShane. Wow, I have seen him before, but he never struck me as anything extraordinary. He blew me away in this series. He was, wow, I just can't even describe how good he is in this. His character, Al, is so deeply flawed. He is cruel, amoral, vicious, ruthless, but he is also extremely intelligent. He is also cunning. I did not think it was possible to like this character, especially given his introduction to us. And yet, McShane, he convinced me that this character was worthwhile, that despite all his flaws, there was some redeeming qualities in him. I actually learned to love this character, which I never would have thought in a million years. And I put that down completely to Ian McShane's portrayal of him. It was so complex, and I know I use the word nuance, but it's true. There are so many layers to this character, and throughout the series we get to see more and more of them. We get to learn more about what has shaped Al into who he is. And I think one of the things I love the best about Al is that he is unapologetic. He is who he is, and he makes no excuses for his behavior. And yet he isn't cruel because he enjoys it. It's usually a means to an end. He is ruthless to get what he wants, but not because he enjoys inflicting pain on others, which some other characters do. I think his portrayal is one of the best performances I have ever seen on television. He is just perfect in this role. He can convey so much with an eyebrow, or a word, or a smile, or half smile, or just an inflection in his voice. He was so good in the role, and he won several awards as a result, and he deserved every single one of them. It is a performance like no other, and I defy anyone not to like Al despite all the terrible things that he does do throughout the show. I forgot to mention that Al runs a brothel. So of course, it's very difficult to like someone who runs a brothel, in my opinion. And yet, Milch succeeded in this show. The second main character, Seth Bullock, played by the wonderful, wonderful Timothy Olyphant. I think this was my introduction to Timothy Olyphant, and I really did enjoy his performance. However, I liked him even more in Justified, which is one of my all-time favourite shows as well, especially for police dramas as such, because I am not a big fan of those. Now, Seth Bullock is an ex-marshal who comes to Deadwood with his partner to set up a hardware business. They're looking to not make their fortunes, I guess, but create a new life for themselves. Seth Bullock, in my opinion, is the flip side of Al Swearengen. They are two sides of the same coin, even though Seth thinks that he is much more moral and righteous, and he's actually too self-righteous at times, and yet he is just as capable of violence as Al. I found Seth Bullock's character much less compelling than Al's, because Al makes no excuses for who he is, whereas Bullock's character likes to use his morality as a cloak for some of his more despicable actions, if I can call them that. He often takes the high moral ground, and yet he allows his temper to rule him on occasion, where he will give in to his baser nature, I guess. He is as deeply flawed a character as Al, and yet in different ways. That's why I always think of them as two sides of the one coin. I find Al, however, more honest about who he is and what he wants out of life. I find Seth sometimes a little too priggish for my taste, and yet I really do love certain things that he does throughout the show, where he just doesn't give a shit and will do what he thinks is right because somebody needs to. He is a person who doesn't back down even when he should. He will do what is right regardless of the consequences, and that you have to admire. Well, I do anyway. I did like his character, but I didn't love it as much as I loved the character of Al Swearengen. Timothy Olyphant was wonderful in this. He portrayed that conflict within, where he struggled against his baser nature at times, and sometimes he fails quite spectacularly. But that, I think, is real too. Sometimes we do the wrong thing, might be for the right reasons, but we do act against our nature even sometimes. He's human. He's flawed, like all of us. Another major character is Alma Garrett, played by Molly Parker, who I have seen in a few indie films prior to this. She plays a woman from a privileged society background who comes to Deadwood with her husband, who is looking to strike gold. Her character, she is a really interesting character, but she is not someone I related to. However, that is not because the actress did a bad job. She certainly didn't. She played her convincingly. She even did make her sometimes empathize with her. I just did not find her as likable as, say, Trixie, the whore. I loved Trixie. Alma's character is snobbish at times. She is high society, whereas most of the people in this town are not. She seems like a fish out of water, and yet she makes a place for herself in Deadwood. Her character does develop, and I did enjoy seeing her develop. However, I still didn't like her very much. Whereas Trixie, I loved Trixie. Trixie is played by Paula Malcolmson. I have seen her in previous shows. I did not like her very much. I loved her performance in this. She was so good as Trixie. She is also, however, a much more honest character. She makes no bones about who she is. She makes no apologies for what she has done or what she will do. She is who she is. She is a strong character. She is a character who has gone through extremely difficult life and yet is still standing at the end of it. You have to admire that. I did. And I thought that Paula Malcolmson's performance was superb. And then there is Brad Dourif, who plays the Doctor. I just adore Brad Dourif. I think he is such a good actor. I don't think I've seen him in anything that I haven't liked him in. His character is just as nuanced, just as flawed as anyone else in this show. And he was a standout. Another standout is Dayton Kelly as Charlie Utter. Dayton Kelly is an actor that I recognised on my second viewing from Sons of Anarchy. I thought he was superb in Sons of Anarchy, and he is just as good in this. He is one of the more decent characters in this show, I must admit, and I loved his performance. I found him utterly charming. It's funny because the first time I watched Deadwood, there were so many actors in this I hadn't recognised, I didn't know, and yet on second viewing, I remember them from other shows that I've seen them in between, like Anna Gunn, who is in Breaking Bad, or Kim Dickens from Fear the Walking Dead, or Dayton Kelly from Sons of Anarchy, and Jim Beaver from Supernatural. I love Jim Beaver in Supernatural, but he is just as good in this. Again, he is one of the nicer characters on the show. However, he is just as flawed as anyone else. He's not perfect. Nobody on this show is. I also need to mention Kim Dickens, who I hated in Fear the Walking Dead. I absolutely loathed her character so much that it spilled over to the actress. Surprisingly enough, it doesn't often happen, but yeah, I just hated her so much in that show that when I realised that she was in Deadwood, because I hadn't remembered her from Deadwood, I thought, oh no, I'm not going to like this character at all. But she won me over. She was very, very good in this. She was able to portray this vulnerability, fragility almost, making me feel such sympathy for this character who had such a difficult childhood and had been shaped by what had happened to her. She was fantastic in this, and I give full credit to the actress for being able to get over my dislike of her from Fear the Walking Dead, which I didn't think was possible. I forgot to mention Powers Booth. He plays Cy Tolliver. Okay. He is a difficult character. He is one that I despised completely. I had no empathy for this character. I did not like him. I didn't like him at the beginning and I hated him by the end. But that's okay. We're allowed to do that, right? I didn't find his character as well drawn as the others. Or perhaps he is just a horrible person. Most likely that's it. Certain things that he did are almost unforgivable. Strange, isn't it? Because I think the character of Swearengen probably did the same, and yet I'm able to forgive him. I am not able to forgive Cy Tolliver. He was just a horrific human being, in my opinion. Did Powers Booth do a good job? He did. I find him a difficult actor to like, though. Everything I've seen him in, he always seems smug and arrogant, and that just grates on my nerves. So I never like him, which is probably why he always plays more evil or bad characters. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen him in a film where he plays someone who is a likable character, but I could be wrong. I have to mention William Sanderson as E.B. Farnham. Wow. One of these characters that make your skin crawl, and the actor did a perfect job. He definitely made my skin crawl. I couldn't stand this character, and that I put down to the writing and the performance. Both were equally exceptional. This show had so many wonderful performances by guest actors like Sarah Paulson, who is very popular at the moment, who I remember more from American Horror Story. There is Alice Krieg from Star Trek Next Generation. Special mention has to go to Garrett Dillahunt, who plays Francis Wilcott. That was a disturbing character, meant to be too, and Dillahunt did a fantastic job portraying him. He even made me empathize slightly, just slightly, not much, just a little with his character. And last I want to mention Gerald McRaney. He played Hurst. He was a very, very difficult character to not relate to, but understand. Not because the actor didn't do a good job, because he did. He did a fantastic job, and I loved the writing, except that this character was irredeemable. There was no redeeming qualities to him. I found that less believable. I could not see much humanity in this character. He was just drunk on power. He really was. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more nuance with him. And last, yes, because I forgot her, is Calamity Jane, played by Robin Wiegert. I thought the actress did a great job with this role. I could not stand Calamity Jane. I really didn't. I thought that we spent far too much time on her in this series, and I found her an uninteresting, boring, unnecessary character for the most part. I just felt like she was there for novelty value more than anything. Perhaps I'm wrong, perhaps I missed the point. But to be honest, I would have preferred that she spend more time out of the show. Yeah. Anyway, I know that I have talked quite a bit about the characters, but this is a character-driven show, not so much a plot-based one. Not that there isn't a plot, but it is truly secondary to the character development. I think so anyway. The main story arc of this series is the transformation of this mining camp into a town, into part of the Dakota territories, and the politics that goes into that, and the people who have built this camp into a town, and all the machinations between the characters jockeying for position, I guess, in this soon-to-be town. So what do I love about the show? The acting. Definitely. Which is on a par with the writing, because the writing is superb, as I've said several times. I loved the sets that they used. I loved that the show seemed authentic, or what I imagined the world would have looked like in the 1870s, what it would have sounded like. What didn't I like about the show? Some of the characters. Yes, I think that we could have done without as much Calamity Jane. I would have liked a better view of Hurst himself. His character didn't seem as three-dimensional as some of the others. But they are minor criticisms, if anything. Do I recommend this show? 100%. I recommend it to anyone who will listen. It is some of the best drama I have ever seen. It is in my top 10 list of best shows ever, I think. I am notorious for being stingy in my scoring, but Deadwood, I would give 9 out of 10. I don't give anything 10 out of 10. I should, but I don't. But this definitely deserves 9 to 9.5. It is just so good. I recommend it to everyone. I'm going to finish off by talking about the film, Deadwood the movie, which came out I think in 2018. It was in essence to wrap up all the loose ends in the TV series, and I thought it accomplished that very well. I enjoyed seeing the characters 10 years down the track, where their lives have gone, what has happened to them, and seeing what their future looks like. That part I thought was very well done. Al, of course, yep, I just loved Al in this, as I loved him throughout the series. He was just as good as ever. But like anything which you love, you don't want to ever see it end, so that made me a little sad. I did enjoy the film. I didn't think it was on a par with the rest of the show, but that's to be expected. There was a lot to be jam-packed into a couple of hours. My understanding too is that Milch was fighting off dementia when he was writing this. Certainly doesn't show. It is just as beautifully written as ever, especially Al's character, and that's all I'm going to say. For a score, I'd give this probably a little bit less than the series, simply because I think we would have needed a lot more time to really properly give these characters a send-off. That's my opinion anyway. But I would score this a 7.5 to an 8. I would recommend it though, definitely, to anyone who's watched the series. Well, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know if you have seen Deadwood and what your thoughts are on it. You know I always want to hear your opinions. I'm particularly interested in hearing who your favourite character is and why, and who you hated. Because it's always fun, isn't it? And you can let me know down in the comments, or you can let me know on Instagram. Thank you all so very much for hanging out with me. I know I did ramble on and on in this video, but I really love Deadwood so much that I wanted to share some of that love with you guys. Anyway, if you like this video, you can do the usual thing. You can like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because it helps my channel to grow. I hope you all have a beautiful day and a beautiful weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye! 12 episodes in each season. Both my pets are deciding to drink water when I'm recording. Swearengen, Swearengen, Al Swearengen.